du meine Arbeit für richtig hältst, ob du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin, dass ich gearbeitet habe, dass ich mich in diesen Jahren für dich eingesetzt habe, dass ich anständig meine Zeit verwendet habe im Dienste meines Volkes.
Dann wird es mir schwer zu sprechen. Uns allen geht das Herz über. Vor Freude über euch.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to Alien Addict on a fine and historical evening, because it is a historical evening, because we're going to talk about that nasty man. Well, we're not going to talk about the nasty man. We may bring the nasty man up, but we're definitely going to talk about nasty people and the technology that they possibly had. Without further ado, one of my partners in crime, because I know there's a bloody handful now. Stu, I think I should call you Stuniverse. You are muted, Stu.
Good job, I was muted. I swore there. Hello, good evening, everybody.
Yeah. Nick, I will introduce Nick in a moment. But Dave wanted to make it tonight, but Dave is at a party. He has a life, and Lee.
We don't.
Lee definitely has. Let's just say he's in a situation right now that he can't get out of, that involves porcelain and tiles.
I still reckon he could broadcast from these loo
and toilet roll. So. But we have ways of making him talk. Nick, welcome to the show, my friend. And also,
pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Graham Hancock's friend, may I add.
That's right. Yeah, I do know the man himself. Yeah.
I find that so cool. So cool. Do you ever talk about the Nazi UFOs with Graham?
No, he's not really into UFOs. He's not really into the sort of alien aspect, really. I've asked him the question, and he sort of just kind of glosses it over. But he's more into sort of the ancient aspect of our civilization. But no, I have popped the question, and he's no, it's like he's always curious. He's a very curious guy. He's very open-minded. But yeah.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about Graham Hancock. Although, if you can get him for us, I'll love you forever.
I'll do my best.
That'd be a good show.
What intrigued? So I'll be honest with you. You had me at Nazi UFOs in that email that you sent me, and I don't think we've ever done a show on it on Alien Addicts ever. I think it may have been mentioned a few times. You've probably heard me say a few times that I believe that Area 51 was probably something from Nazi technology that crashed there. How did you get into all this?
Well, I've got to give a shout out to my parents, really. My mum and dad are really sort of are conspiracy theorists. They're into UFOs, aliens, and stuff like that. So when I was a kid, I was always growing up with X-Files, Strange But True, anything alien related. Me and my dad would be in it straight away. My mum is more or less like a hardcore conspiracy theorist, but she loves her ghosts and stuff like that. So I've always been brought up with UFOs and aliens, so it's always been interesting for me. I used to collect the UFO magazines back in the 90s as a kid. I've actually got a stack of them here that I started to collect them back up. So I've always been interested in UFOs and stuff like that. But back in 2007, I was in music college, and some guy came up to me and he says, "Oh yeah, you're into UFOs and stuff like that." I said, "Yeah, yeah," and we started chatting. And he goes, "Have you heard about the Germans building flying saucers in World War II?" And I thought, "Huh? Like, surely not." And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, honestly, they built like these Haunebu flying saucers." And he started going into the esoteric side. I really thought it was just like a whole load of nonsense, really, because it just sounded quite ridiculous. But I started to research into it bit by bit over the years. It's been over 10 years for me researching, but I haven't done hardcore research. Well, in the last 5
The
years, I have
channel
done.
is in the description as well, Nick, and it's called Nick's.
Investigate with Nick, my YouTube
That's it,
channel.
Investigate with Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the last 5 years, I've done the best research that I can into this Nazi UFO. I'm going to try and hold the word off saying Nancy because I don't want to get your channel or
No, you
this
can't say those
video
type of words
demonetized.
easily. I think you can still say Nancy, can't you? It's a name. It's somebody's name. It's a lady's name, Nancy.
I'll try. I'll try to refer away from it anyway. But I've been doing hardcore research into this subject for about 5 years now. I've referred away from the internet because the internet puts people down these rabbit holes, especially with this conspiracy theory of German UFOs. It's all over the place. So I wanted to go back to the original source. Where did these stories come from? So I've got a stack of books here that I've collected over the years. Some of them cost me hundreds. I bought a book from Germany called The Dark Side of the Moon. It's impossible to find, and I must have spent about 300 quid on that book. And it's a lot of information in there that's not really on the internet. So that's how I sort of really got into it. So I've got a rough idea, a clear idea of what the Germans developed in the 30s and 40s, and I'm going to do my best today to show your audience that they did build flying saucers, but it's not what you think. So, do you want me to sort of crack on because we've probably got quite a lot to go through?
Absolutely, mate. Yeah. Unless you wants to.
No. Carry on. I am going to listen intently.
Feel free to ask me some questions, but I've got things in bullet points. I mean, what I wrote out was technically a 6-hour presentation. It was ridiculous the amount of research I've done into it. So I've put things in bullet points. So it's like a shorter version of this conspiracy, but I'll try and make it as much clear as possible. So there's 3 levels of this conspiracy when it comes to Nazi UFOs. One is the turbine-driven aircraft that was developed with this, the Schriever, Haber-Moore sort of projects. Then you have the esoteric side, which is the Haunebu, the Vrils, the Maria Orsics, stuff like that. And then you got the Die Glocke, the bell. And all of those are mixed together. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. It's literally like, for instance, it's like sorting out an 8,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. You're sorting it all out, and then someone comes along and dumps another 5,000 pieces on top. And then you think, okay, I'll leave the first one and I'll go back to the second one. I'll just sort this one out. And then someone comes along to put another 5,000 piece. And then my job is to find out to get the first puzzle piece together. Does that make sense? So it's just trying to figure things out. It's just all over the place. So
sounds like Stu's Bob Lazar documentary, that.
Just about.
It's just all over the place when it comes to this. So I'm going to go through and break things down clearly, and sort of go from there. So let's go through the technology that was built in Germany. I mean, we have to acknowledge how technically brilliant Nazi Germany was.
Oh yeah. I mean, I know they're like a lot of their stuff was way more advanced than what we had.
Oh yeah. I mean, they were about a couple of 100 years ahead. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I'm just going to list a few things that they first developed. They actually managed to invent these things, like the rocket engine, the turbo engine, the pulse jet engine, ram jets, flying wings, silicon chips, television missile cameras, anti-warship missiles. The list goes on. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Just to talk about how advanced the technology was in Germany at the time. In 1936 Berlin Olympics, this was televised live in Berlin at the time. I don't know have you ever seen clips of it, the Berlin Olympics?
Yeah.
I've seen it, and I've seen some color recreations on YouTube as well. I love those.
Yeah. So those were television live in theatres. So people go to theatres and can watch the games live. If you look at the cameras, they're huge. They're like coffin-sized cameras. You can have a look on Google. Berlin Olympics cameras. They're literally like coffin-sized. They're huge. Within less than 10 years, they managed to take that technology and pull it into the size of a shoebox. Literally the size of a shoebox. And the reason why we know that, because the V2 rockets that were sent over to Germany to bomb this country, some of them were actually, they didn't actually explode. They're sort of left on the ground unexploded. And when they took the V2 rocket apart, they found out they had these boxes right on the nose tip. And it turns out it was actually television guided missiles. So this is like 1943, 44 technology. It's just absolutely bizarre. You know, thinking television guided missiles, you think that's more or less a sort of common technology now, isn't it, really? But no, they were doing it back in the 1940s. It's quite amazing, really. But yeah, the weaponry, they started to build new advances of technology, especially planes, and it was just amazing what they managed to achieve, really.
The one that we put in the that Stu put in the intro, the what's the plane called? The Horton.
That's the Horton 229.
Horton 229. Yeah, that's the one that some people think that could have possibly been maybe crashed at Area 51. Is that right, Stu? Some people.
Yeah. There's
because when you take the wings off that thing, it looks weird as shit.
Yeah. The sort of central part of it, when you actually remove the wings, does look very like a UFO. But when you put it obviously all together, it has that sort of flying V formation, so it does. But it's more probably linked now, I would say, to Northrop airstrip and test flying there, because they definitely, during Operation Paperclip, they definitely brought Horton Brothers technology back to the US. How much of it, and whether it was complete or not, whether to rebuild bits and pieces or reconstruct it, reverse engineer it, who knows what was left after the war. So Nick will tell us.
I have to say something. The Horton brothers didn't go to America. They, in fact, went into Argentina, and they were building, I'm not joking, triangular craft for Juan Perón, which was the aviation officer at the time.
Sorry, I was meaning more their technology rather than the brothers themselves. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, they sort of took that technology similar to what the Horton brothers did, because there's a document that came out saying, this is like paperclip saying, where are the Horton brothers? And it turns out they're in Argentina building these new fancy aircraft, believe it or not. But yeah, I know the Americans.
Did you say a triangular craft?
Yeah, literally a triangular craft. If you type in Brazilian aircraft, triangular aircraft, I think you'd be able to see it. This was after the war, 1950s, 40s.
Can you repeat that, Nick? You just froze 50s. A little bit there. You just froze a little bit there. Can you repeat that?
What did you say? Type in what? You froze up a little bit. What did you say to type in?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's Brazilian triangle aircraft. I'll try and find it for you, Stu. But it's literally like a triangle, and this was the same technology that the Horton aircraft was used, basically.
Let's get a screenshot of that up. We can.
Got it.
Have you got your desktop open, Nick? You know, like with the pictures that you had on as well.
One. Oh, actually, yeah. I tell you what, I've got the book here. If I can show you.
Oh yeah, you can't beat a good old book. I'd rather have that. You know, you just have to hold that to the screen.
I just realised that. Yeah,
I can bring you up in big. So you've read upon this for how many years did you say? Is it over 10 years?
I'll say about hardcore research for about 5 years. Yeah,
5 years.
All in all, it's about 15 years in total. But hardcore research, like, I mean, buying books to sort of find the source of the real information, where it came from. Sorry, guys, I'm just going to skip through this book. It is in this book, but
it's a bloody big book.
But yeah, it's
so
just like a triangle.
Entire book's about about UFOs?
Yeah, this is called Roswell and the Reich by Joseph P. Farrell. And it's a fantastic book. This talks about Roswell and what crashed at Roswell was basically German.
Do you know what, Nick?
Mm.
After you showed us that, I kind of want to. I'd like, because we've got a 2-hour show, and I think a lot of people would want to definitely hear somebody who's researched this, your viewpoints, because I have said, but I've literally just pulled it out of my ass, if I'm honest with you, that I think whatever crashed in Roswell was probably German at the time.
Yeah, I mean,
But that's just a gut feeling. That's with zero research.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm on the fence with Roswell when it comes to it being extraterrestrial. I mean, the story really came out 35 years after the official story came out, and so you get a lot of second or third witness testimony. So it's kind of hard to find who's telling the truth. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of people that make money off this industry. I mean, it really is a business when you look at it, ufology in a whole, especially when it comes to Roswell. It's just there's people out there to make money, and it's really, really hard to pinpoint who's telling the truth. But there's a document I want to bring up, and Ollie, that video of Bill Cooper, that was quite important because that links into the Roswell UFO.
Is that the purple one? This one?
Yeah, no, the other one.
On Nazi UFOs, on
This one? Is it the jerky one?
Yeah.
That one. Hopefully this works because we couldn't get this to work.
The jerky one. This is not going to play.
So this is
and this whole document.
1 second. Let's see if we can get this to work.
This is a document called the Eisenhower document. Next. This is a document called the Eisenhower briefing document. Top secret magic, which is the correct security classification for alien information. This document was sent on undeveloped 35mm film to Jamie Chandray. When it was developed, this is what came out. A briefing document for President Eisenhower. There's a lot wrong with this document. I'm going to tell you right now, it's a forgery. Nothing in this whole document is new to anyone. Nothing. Everything that's in this document, researchers and people in the UFO study field already knew, except those 12 names. That's the only thing that's new. I can tell you right now.
Can we pause it on those names?
Are those the guys that have the?
Yeah, the thing is about this document. What's that, Stu?
Nick?
Sorry, I was just going to say, are those the guys that the code names were like birds, like Osprey, Falcon, and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, the thing is with this document is actually faked. This is part of the MJ
Yeah, I was going to say.
documents that came out. Bill Cooper and Joseph P. Farrell will say that this document is actually faked. If you continue playing the clip, Ollie, Bill will explain why.
There's only two people on there that I know for sure was a part of Majesty 12 or MJ12. One is Admiral Roscoe H. Hillenkotter, as the director of the CIA, would have been the top man in the organization. And Secretary James B. Forrestal, who I know was a member of MJ12 and was in charge. He was actually the man in charge of operations, who would have been MJ2. And was himself an abductee, was in charge of the first craft recovery at Roswell, New Mexico. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to know the truth about what happened at Roswell, New Mexico, read Whitley Strieber's book, Majestic.
So break this down for me, like I'm like literally 10.
I forgot to add the other clip. Basically, the file name, the file number for this document is like 90250, basically something like that. And this is basically it's the wrong number for the presidency, because when the next president came over, I think it was it Eisenhower that came after? I think in the 50s. I might be wrong, so it might correct me. The
I
file
don't know
name was
American
actually
history, mate.
Who is?
Yeah,
is it
it's
Truman. It was president at this point, then Eisenhower afterwards, or was that the other way around?
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, the correlate. So basically, so Truman had the document number is 9025 and all that. But when Eisenhower came into the presidency, the document came to 10 something. So basically, the document number is wrong. I haven't got the clip on here because Bill Cooper explains it, but that's how you know this document is a forgery. I do have the original document that's been from the actual National Archives from America, and it shows. Well, it basically says whatever crashed at Roswell was German, and we need to get these German scientists to have a look at this technology, basically. So I'm going to sort of allude to that a bit later, but is that document there from the the MJ12 documents? It's kind of hard to say if there's actually real or not. I know Stanton Friedman did amazing work to actually say that these are authentic, but that document there, because the ufology, especially the people that say what crashed at Roswell was extraterrestrial, will put that document out and saying, see, this proves that aliens crashed at Roswell. And I'm going, well, hold a minute, this document potentially could be fake, and it's more or less been proven to be a fake. I might be wrong, I don't know. But for me, it's difficult because you can't put this document forward and say it's real.
But that's interesting, right there, isn't it? That they created a fake document, did a presentation and everything, and then somebody else
But like Bill Cooper said,
all this that we do now was going on back then, just on a smaller scale, and it probably was heard on much it was heard on a much smaller scale. So it was literally like. Did they know it's going to? It's like, were they playing the long game? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's almost like they're playing games. I mean, Bill Cooper said in that clip there that document was someone took a photo of that document through a film camera. So that is not an actual photocopy of the document. This is someone taking a photo. So it's hard to sort of judge if this is actually legitimate or not. So I'm very skeptical, but I think. When it comes to Nazis and Roswell, I think that's a whole different subject. I mean, I haven't really looked properly into it. I'm just going off speculation. You know, what Joseph P. Vrel's doing. He's done amazing work into this sort of subject, especially he's saying that whatever crashed at Roswell was Nazi. And he am I saying Nancy right? It's wrong, isn't it? I'm saying like the lady word, isn't it?
What
Nazi? You're saying it because, you're okay.
Yeah, that's right. That's cool. Yeah, sorry about that. But Joseph P. Vrel's he's done amazing work into this sort of Nazi sort of crash that happened at Roswell, and he goes into quite amazing detail. But his books are like 600 pages long, and he's got 3 of these books that are all linked together. So you can see how much information he's got. But yeah, fantastic work. He's not very popular in the UFO community, Joseph P. Vrel, because it's a whole new sort of concept when it comes to Roswell, isn't it?
Because he's not talking about aliens.
Yeah, he's not talking about aliens. You know, he debunks that at all. You know, I haven't really looked properly, like hardcore into Roswell, but I just don't think there's any proof of aliens. I mean, there's one story of a doctor who operated on an alien, and then somehow she went missing, and then the legend was born from there. But it's just got all these stories that don't back anything up. You know, it's just sounds like a bit like a broken record. You know what I mean?
The Roswell sort of aliens thing, the alien side of it, didn't really come out to any great extent until the X-Files came out in the 90s, and that's when it went crazy.
Yeah.
Before that, prior to that, it was just a suspected UFO crash, and that's all that was ever mentioned of it.
Yeah. So it's just like the mainstream media and social media sort of hyping things up, really. So yeah, who knows the truth? We'll never get the truth of Roswell, no matter what.
So you must, so as somebody who's researched Nazi Germany at the time and what went on, the technology that they had, have you looked into the whole Antarctica thing, to why Hitler sent, was it 1,000? Was it 1,000? Is that an exaggeration? Soldiers to Antarctica.
Are you talking about Operation High Jump?
No, prior to that.
Prior. You're talking about the 1938 Antarctic expedition that the Nazis did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked into.
Do you think this is linked to whatever technology you think that they had?
Right. I've got to make one thing's clear about this. Let's say the Nazi UFO base in Antarctica. Where that story came from originated from a guy named Ernest Udall, who had a book publication house in Canada in the 1970s, and he was putting forward that this is true, that the Holocaust didn't happen. He was very anti-Semitic. He was actually arrested in Canada quite a number of times for being, putting forward these claims. And he's the one who invented the UFO base that is in Antarctica. And there's a colony of over 1 million Germans living deep underneath the ice sheet. And he's the one who came up with that story. I believe the established bases there, but when it comes to UFO bases, I'm going to allude to a bit later when I talk about the flying saucers. I just find that just garbage, to be honest with you. I think I just can't trust stories like that, and that is where that
It
story
gets
came
mentioned
from.
a lot. It gets in this field. I mean, I'll be honest. I'll put my hand up. I've mentioned it on Alien Addict, probably talking out my ass and going, didn't the Nazis go to Antarctica? Well, they did go to Antarctica, but
Yeah,
I'm like saying, do you reckon they got some UFO technology from Antarctica?
not for Antarctica, no.
Back in a
The
minute.
Germans, like I just said earlier, they're very born planners. They were very well ahead in terms of technology. I'm going to talk about the flying saucers because it's going to clear things up. But I don't think they found anything in Antarctica. I think they probably established bases there. I know they were doing trips with U-boat trips and submarines going into Antarctica. There is an actual quote here from one of the U-boat submarine. I've got a quote here. Yeah, Carl Dönitz. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He was part of the U-boat fleet in Germany. And this is what he actually said. This is an actual quote. The German submarine is proud for having built for the Führer another part of the world, a Shangri-La land on oppressive fortress. Basically, and he was going to Antarctica back and forth, this guy. He was doing so he most likely established bases in there. And I know about 5 years ago they actually dug deep into the ice somewhere in Antarctica. And do you know who like New Schwabenland? That's where they established their sort of takeover of Germany.
Right.
But they dug in that part and they found Nazi artifacts there. They actually found it.
Is that not
so
in the northeast of Antarctica?
Yeah, northeast. Yeah, so they actually found Nazi artifacts deep in the ice sheet. So they obviously were doing trips there. But when it comes to for instance, Admiral Byrd and the flying saucers and all that, I think that's just like made up stories just to sell books and stuff like that. But yeah, I do believe they established base there, and I know they did the flyover in 1938, and they found lands of ice-free areas. And I clearly remember seeing a TikTok video not long ago of an old 50s footage, and it was a plane flying over past the ice sheet of Antarctica, and you can see these islands free of ice. And the guy who's narrating it saying, "Yeah, this is past the ice sheet," and you've got all these little islands. That goes into like the flat Earth sort of theory sort of stuff. I'm not a flat earther, by the way, but I clearly remember seeing that
we
footage.
wouldn't have you
and
on.
I-
I'm joking. We definitely would.
but yeah, the Germans were taking photographs over Antarctica, and they found places that had free of ice. There was vegetation there, and this is back in 1938. And not long ago, the article came
I
out
think I've
saying
seen
that.
that.
Have you seen it?
Something rings a bell to me as well.
Yeah,
The question that I asked myself when I watched that is, and I heard the narrate. I remember, is he got like that really old like narrative, like old
style.
BBC?
Yeah.
That's it.
And
Yeah.
it's like, I'm thinking at the time, how do we even then back then, how do we know that is there? You know, how do we know that 100%?
Yeah. I mean, you
That
elucidated quite a number of times on your show that you can't go to Antarctica. You can go there, but there's only a certain amount of places. But you can't go far beyond the ice sheet. I mean, yeah, it's amazing, fascinating. But yeah, in terms of the
I
Germans,
mean,
yeah,
you potentially, if you had the money and the resources, you could go anywhere in Antarctica. I mean, there's nothing there to stop you. It's not like there's like loads of ships patrolling and keeping an eye on
y-
things. Antarctica's a
yeah,
massive continent, but the problem you've got is you will probably die. I mean, the amount of crevasses and different things and dangers that go on there, apart from the weather, is
mm,
phenomenal. So it's not that
yeah,
you can't go there. It's just that if you did go there, you would more than likely die. Simple as
yeah,
that.
yeah. You got a good point there, Stu. Yeah, it's but I keep on hearing these different theories saying, oh, you can't go there. They got these police that are boarding the borders and all that sort of stuff. So I know the Russians have got their base and the Americans have got their base, and I know they got their individual sort of territories and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, not a lot of stuff's
sounds
come out
like
on
Command and Conquer.
this, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I mean, if you actually look at the way it's divided up, it's like as if somebody's taken an apple pie and put really thin slices through it, and like you can have this little bit, you can have this little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I know the Germans, they took over the size of Germany back in 1938. They planted swastika flags everywhere. And also that loops into the Operation High Jump, which we can allude to a bit later. But do you want to move on about Nazi flying
Oh
saucers?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, mate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to go through is the turbine-driven aircraft that they developed. This is more plausible because you have newspaper articles, you have some of the scientists and engineers come forward, FBI documents stating that what the Germans developed was turbine-driven aircraft, piston-driven aircraft, propellered fan aircraft. I'm going to bring some photos up, Ollie.
Yeah.
So basically, I'll do it in a minute. But so there's 4 scientists that were involved with building these aircraft. You have Rudolf Schriever, you have Otto Hubbermüll, you have Dr. Richard Mithe, and Giuseppe Paluzzo. So the first two, Rudolf Schriever and Otto Hubbermüll, they worked together to build an aircraft, which I'm going to show you now. Now, there are no public photographs of the aircraft that I'm going to show you. They built several prototypes of this. I'm just going to grab a photo now.
Okay, I've got you.
Cool. Right.
Is it
Can I
loaded
see
on
that?
your screen? No, I think what we're
Yeah,
gonna have
yeah.
to do, yeah, you take that down, then screen share it when you've got that picture up, because I think when you click on it, it
Okay,
just
cool.
keeps it on that same page.
Ah, gotcha, gotcha.
It's a weird one. Is the screen sharing?
It's a weird one, isn't it?
So this is the propeller driven UFO.
Yeah, so can you guys see that? I'm just going to pop it up.
I think something's coming up.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry, guys. So this is all a bit new to me. So yeah, so this just gives you a broad idea of what the Germans developed. Okay, so you can
Well, you
imagine
might be able to
here,
go through the pictures there as
you've
well at
got
the
a
bottom, I
central
think.
cockpit in the middle.
Got that?
Yeah.
Can you see the whole thing? Oh yeah, sweet, sweet. Cool.
So it's it's a massive
So yeah, just stick
turbine.
with this one for the time being. Yeah, so basically, what the idea is, you've got a central cockpit with a plexiglass over the top. The person is actually standing in the middle, which is kind of hard to believe, really. And what you have on the external part of the plexiglass is a turbine fan. So you can imagine a fan going around. And to the left, as you can see, there's rockets that are placed underneath this. So the idea is that these rockets will spin and it will turn the fan given the lift. And that is the propulsion that gives this craft its
Fucking
sort
hell,
of a
I feel
levitation.
sorry for that poor bastard piloting that.
Do
How
you know
do they
what, Ollie, mate?
control it though?
Exactly. Do you know what? For me, like, you need to be sitting down for this. You mean I can't imagine these aircraft being stable. I mean, they
You
built
need to be
several.
drugged up for this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna grab. I mean, they made several models of these. So
Did they ever build? They
yeah,
didn't build any prototypes, did they, Nick?
they built prototypes for it, but I don't believe
Like
these came
third
into
scale or
production.
full scale?
The full scale. I'll show you some
Wow.
clips of
Yeah.
people saying that
Oh,
they've
yeah.
seen these, but I'm gonna grab another one now. Oh, I can do this. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all working,
Okay,
mate.
so
You can
here
just- you can
are
just-
the
just-
other prototypes. So that first, so the first photo I showed you, not photo, the sketch here, is this is the first model they made. So it's the same sort of design. And if you look
Sorry,
at the
Nick, can I
bottom
stop
of the
you
craft,
for
you can see
1
something
second there,
sticking
mate?
out. Yeah.
How old are these? How old are these? Like, Docky, are they quite old?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so the Schriever and Hubble projects, they were built
No,
from
I mean these
1940.
actual plans that you've got here. Are these from an old book?
Yeah, sorry, yeah, I should mention, yeah. So all these pictures I'm going to show you is what I've taken. These are from old books. So these are originally where these stories came from. So basically,
How old do the books date?
this one here about 1970, I think. It's hard to
Okay,
tell.
okay, cool.
I've got like 15 about 25 books here that I got all different information in it. But the people that actually draw this up was actually Schriever, allegedly Schriever, who developed these aircraft here. But this is the first model. I don't know if you can see something sticking out at the bottom of the craft.
Yeah, it's like something that I'd probably like to smoke.
Yeah, it's something you stick in your mouth and smoke it. Yeah, definitely. But no, that is the exhaust that would propel the craft forward. So the idea is
Yeah,
that they built.
you've got a stabilizer as well at the top, so they're learning.
Yeah. So it turns out that these were very unstable, and eventually they abandoned the project after a while. So this was from 1941 to 43.
Oh my god, Stu! Isn't
Yeah.
it interesting that it's got Bob Lazar's little domes at the bottom? That
I
the
did spot that.
yeah,
But there's,
and these-
according to the thing, there's shock absorbers.
I'm going to
right.
show you.
So
I'm
they
going to
must
show
be
you
like
some
rubber
photos
airbags.
later.
Wow.
Yeah,
But
I'm going to show you some photos later of some other flying saucers that have that same 3 dome underneath.
what this reminds me of is though is
This is cool. Oh.
see as a kid, you used to get the little sort of toy spinning helicopter type things where you would pull the string and the thing would shoot
Yeah.
up in the air. That's kind of that. But if you think about how those flew, they basically went up, caught the wind, and then crashed pretty quickly after that. The stability was horrific.
What's
Um,
with the top image with the Jesus cross hanging out of the cockpit door?
It's like the German Knights Cross. I don't know if you know. If you're
That's
familiar with that symbol.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay.
that's the German Air Force, is it not? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they put that symbol on all their aircraft, even when they prototyped it as well. So, but yeah, this just gives you like a rough idea of.
This is real cool, Nick. Yeah. Carry on, mate.
I've gonna have a little look from some other photos. So that is the Rudolf Schriever and Otto Hubble. So that what you see there was abandoned after a while, and you had some other scientists from Italian scientists named Richard Muthey and Giuseppe Belluzzo, and I can't find not a lot of information on these guys at all. But they developed these disc-shaped aircraft as well, and they eventually all these 4 scientists got together and built an aircraft called the V7, which allegedly took off, which I'm going to show you now.
Thank you, Jennifer. Yes, Nick is a great guest. I've been wanting to do a Nazi UFO
Yeah,
I
I'm
didn't
nervous as
expect.
hell,
I
guys.
didn't.
Just to let you know.
Mate, I'll be honest with you. I didn't expect you to have all this stuff. This is great.
No, this is good.
I love that. I love the
That's
fact that it's not modern day, like computer generated images with some text over it. These are screenshots
Yeah,
from old books. I love that. Thank you, Jen. I
guys,
appreciate that.
just Jennifer, thanks for that, Jennifer. Just wait. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Wait until we get into the Haunebus and the Vrills, because I'm going to show you photographs that are just bizarre. A lot of them are faked, but it's very interesting. So this is just a little taster for what's to come.
You had me at
So,
bizarre. You didn't need to say fake.
so basically, this aircraft here is called the V7. This was the last aircraft that was built near the end of the war. Like I said, these aircraft wasn't in production at all. I've got the date here where this was allegedly taken off. Yeah, the 14th of November, 1944. This aircraft apparently took off and it rose to 75,000 feet, and then they tested it again above the Baltic, and it rose to 85,000 feet. Allegedly, would you like to see a picture of Hitler standing next to a prototype of one of these things?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hang on.
So they tested this over the Baltic Sea.
Yeah, allegedly. Just
Baltic Sea anomaly. I'm just putting
So
that out there.
if they're going to those kind of heights, then it must have been a pressurized craft.
yeah, I probably should. I think I got the photo. It's probably one of these books I have to dig out. But
Or the pilots had
yeah.
oxygen.
So basically, you imagine the exterior part of this craft. You see the little black bits going around.
Yeah.
So in there will be fans, like small circular fans, and that will give the propulsion. So it's more like a discus sort of shaped, but it works on the same principle. Well, it's a different principle. It's almost like a supersonic helicopter, if you put it that way. You've got these individual fans that are going around to propel the craft, and I'm going to show you who invented that soon. But do you know what, guys? I don't think I've got a photo.
Ducted fan technology is used in helicopters to this day, but it's used in the rear rotor area to stop the helicopter from spinning out of control. But it's probably based on German technology and back to then.
Yeah, it's quite a simple technique to use. To be honest with you guys, I can't find a photo. I'll find it near the end. Just remind me near the end of the
Yeah,
podcast.
no worries,
I've
mate.
got to find out one of these books. But yeah, it looks like you got a picture of Hitler standing next to a prototype of one of these things. So yeah,
You don't think it's been fucked with?
I don't know. The thing is, it's hard to tell how legitimate this is. Really, it's
See, the
it's a sort of just guessing game.
stuff you've got from your books and you've copied, that I'm all down with. When we're getting it from the internet, I don't know who's tweaked the nipples with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, wait until you get to the Maria Orsic sort of esoteric side. I'm
But
going to
all
show you
this
some.
you have is all from books.
This is all from books. Yeah, a lot of information I've got here is from books, and then I checked myself by reading what the internet's saying. And I can kind of tell. I get a
Yeah,
clearer
because
picture.
that says at the bottom the Time Machine Project.
Yeah. Okay. So this.
2005 is that?
So basically, where these books come from, some of these, I'll just show you a typical example. I've got one here. So that is the book. That's about 300 quid. And what happens with these conspiracies is that they mix in the esoteric side, which is this completely separate side to what this is. So when I alluded earlier saying, oh, it's a complete mishmash, everything's mixed together. It's a massive clusterfuck, lack of better terms, but that's what it is. So you've got a mixture of information. So you're saying, I'll allude to time machines a little bit later when I talk about the esoteric side, because it just gets ridiculous. But yeah, just take what the text says very lightly, because this model comes up on several books and basically is explaining that these were turbine-driven aircraft, which is more realistic. You think about it. You think, well, the Germans are more likely to build stuff like this than something that's anti-gravity. So, yeah, so that just gives you a broad idea, guys. Do you want? There is actually FBI files. I'm going to dig out for you guys now. Have a little look.
If you need to change, you might want to stop screen sharing them, re-screen share, unless you're moving across the pictures. If they're all in that folder, then do you have some of the real pictures of some of the prototype stuff?
No, this is the thing. These turbine aircraft,
Just plans.
There's more or less plans and drawings, to be honest with you. There is one alleged photograph of the V7,
and that's not me. And that's not me saying that it's a bunch of shit, because like back then
it seems plausible, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah, especially when you going back to that time, people made loads of drawings and stuff. And if something's top secret, those pictures, you're not going to get them. And if you are, then you're definitely in the right job.
Yeah.
If you're going to get them pictures,
it's difficult because it's finding good quality photographs. I mean, the photos I'm going to show you later are quite bizarre, really. Some of these are not on the internet, but
yeah, I've got that clip ready for that you sent me from the was that clip from the 60s, 50s?
I tell you what, there is one clip I'm going to show you. I'm going to send it to you now. There's two clips. There you are.
You can screen share it, mate. You can screen share it.
Cool. Sorry, guys, this is all new to me. You have to bear with me.
No, it's Nick's first time using StreamYard, so, and it has its teething problems. I do like it though.
It's quirky.
Yeah.
Right.
But for a browser, it's good.
Right, here we go,
guys. It all began in 1932 in Bucharest, when this man, a flight engineer called Henry Coanda, made an extraordinary discovery using a disc-shaped flying object. One of the experiments was then a 20-year-old aeronautical
is a little bit, mate,
student
yeah,
called Radu Manikatide.
Definitely buffering a little bit.
The saucer rose to the ceiling and remained there. I thought it was something extraordinary. It would never have crossed my mind. You know, I was only used to the idea of normal flying.
Young Radu had just witnessed the world's first flying saucer, and this is how it worked. If you draw air down onto a curved shape like a saucer, it follows the surface of that shape. By literally sucking the air from above his saucer so it flowed round and underneath, Coanda found he could both lower the air pressure above and raise it below, causing the craft to levitate. This became known as the Coanda effect. It's the principle at the heart of saucer flight.
It was a very simple idea, but of course you had to have thought of it in the first place.
Right, did you guys hear any of that? Because it was skipping. So basically, what this guy is saying that he worked for. Yeah, it's basically the Coanda effect. So it's the same sort of principle, but they sort of modified it after they went along. But that was the basic principle. So that guy there, Luigi, he claims he saw the prototype lift off in 1940s, like the first prototype, and he said it just lifted the ceiling. That's all it did. But he also mentioned that it was very, very unstable. It rocked side to side, and I think this is why the project was abandoned, especially when it came to the twisting effect of the fan driven. I mean, if you're standing up in it, it really, for me, makes no sense. I mean, I think being German, they're born planners, really, so they would have thought to sort of perfect that, really. But then you had the individual rotatory fans that were almost like a supersonic helicopter, which gets me to a guy named Joseph Andres Epp. So I'm going to put another clip up, Ollie, and I hope it doesn't skip. I don't know why it's skipping.
Stu might know that. I'm not technically enough to know why, but I think it might be something to do with the fact that it's coming off your computer into the
Yeah,
stream
it's basically transcoding at the same time as trying to play.
If you had it on, if you were taking it off a website like YouTube or whatever, you'd be fine. But I don't probably. Oh, that clip there that you're gonna play, is that what you sent me, Nick?
No, this is the longer version of it.
Okay, I'm gonna say because I've got
Yeah.
that already loaded
Okay.
into the software. But
Do you want to give this a go? See what happens?
yeah, let's give that one a go. Oh, have you got a background story before this?
Say again.
Have you got a background? So this is the guy that saw something.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah. So Joseph Andres Epp, he designed something called the flying target. He mentions it in the clip here, but let me just put up a picture. I'm going to show you what he designed. So Joseph Andres Epp was an engineer, a Luftwaffe pilot, and he developed something called a flying target, which was a circular disc-shaped craft. I'm just going to grab it up now. So this, sorry guys, I'm just grabbing the photo up now.
I
Okay,
genuinely think that this has been going on for years.
Oh yeah, it's been going for years. So this is Joseph Andres Epp. This is what he designed in the late 30s, and he brought his designs, this aircraft, to the aviation ministry in Berlin in 1940, and basically he's claiming that his designs were stolen because he gave the plans to into the aviation agency, and then he sort of used his idea to build these like the V7 aircraft, because he's got the individual rotated fans going around. You see, he's got about 8 of them going around, and that is what the V7 used to propel itself up. And he's claiming that they stole his plans, and he knew that Schriever and Hubble and all the scientists were building these flying discs that were in Prague. Oh, sorry, I should have stated that. It was in Prague airport. They were test flying these flying discs. And in that clip, he goes to Prague, where the testing ground was located, and he knew they were test flying saucers. And suddenly he sees a flying saucer, and he actually takes 2 photographs of it. So it shows those photographs in the clip. So Ollie, do you want me to play
I
the
think
clip?
you've got that. Have you got those photographs as well in this photo library? So leave
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I tell you what.
Yeah.
I tell you what. Let me grab the photographs. Okay. Right, this one here. Okay. What do you want me to zoom in a bit, probably?
So that's essentially saying that is what this guy basically.
Yeah.
It's a 1940s drone.
Yeah. So he took this photo in November of 1944. He's saying he took it in November 1945. He said he couldn't remember in the interview there, which was taken in 1970s. In 1997. But he was going to Prague because he wanted to find out about these flying saucers, and he was driving to the test ground, and he sees this flying saucer. Now you see it's all a bit grainy here. That's watermark. That's water damage that's happened from it.
Yeah, I see that.
But there is another photo. But basically, that there kind of, I'll just zoom in a bit more. Kind of looks like the Schriever Hubble photograph.
You'll have to send me these, Nick. Like,
yeah. No worries. So
he's saying that's German technology, and that is like essentially a German drone.
Yeah. So I believe what he taken there, that is a Nazi flying saucer, because he knew the projects were going on, and he was driving there specifically to see what was going on. He knew about the Prague testing ground.
What
and he knew
time period was this?
This was according to his book. It's got his book here. He said it was in November of 1944. He
So
said
it
he
was
recounts
still
this.
during the war.
So it's
Stu,
still during the war.
what do you reckon to the? I mean, you can tell it's an old book, but I mean, you're the photography guy.
The first thing when I saw it, it just kind of reminded me a little bit of the Minville photos, just the angle of the craft. But yeah, I mean, it looks cool enough to me. I mean, that is water damage. You're right there, Nick. That's definitely water damage.
Is explained in the book. Sorry, he's explained in the book. That is basically water damage that's happened.
Yeah, I've seen
But
that
there
often enough.
isn't. But I'm going to show you this photograph. This is the same photograph as that. Can you guys see that? So,
Yep.
But there's two different scenarios here. That's Joseph Andres Epp photo, and this photo was taken in a book called UFO Pictures. And if you read that description down at the bottom,
See that 1962.
1962. So that is exactly the same photograph as that. I mean, look at the trees. See the trees there?
Yeah.
It's exactly
They're
the same.
still doing it. They've been doing it for years.
Yes. And I found that photograph. I said, and it's in a book. Someone co-wrote it called Randall Stevens, and he was part of
Randall
that faker
Stevens,
Billy Meyer, and he was part of that crowd. So how the hell he managed to get that photograph? Because that photograph
Did you see
was taken...
that we had what was his name? Michael Horn on, who was defending Randall Stevens.
No offense, Michael. If you're listening, you are the worst. I mean, people like you are just don't do the community any good. You're just in for the money. I mean, the wedding cake photograph. I'm sorry, but my nephew's 12 can bloody figure that out. You know, you don't have to be a bloody child to figure it out. I mean, it's just I
We
can't stand
destroyed
people
them,
like
didn't
this.
we, Wally?
Yeah, he did a very good job. But
yeah.
it's photographs like this. It's saying it's in Joseph Andres Epp interview. Oh, we'll play in a minute. See if it plays. He shows you the coloured photographs.
Sorry, Nick. Go. Just do me a favor. Go. Just for the audience here. Just to lay this out. That this is so fooling people. No. Bring that back up.
Oh, sorry.
Fooling people has been going on for so long, and that is. I mean, that was what 1962, where they tried to fool people from a photograph that was taken
18 years earlier, would it have been? Something like 16, 18 years earlier.
Yeah.
And people claiming...
I'll just grab the photo up, guys. Yeah, 1962. Do you want to zoom in? I'll zoom in a little bit.
Yeah, 18 years.
I'll tell you what, shall I play the video first?
Yeah, go for it.
So this is the guy that took the photo. I don't know. You know what, Nick?
Yeah,
I
this
don't
is
think that
Joseph
was
Andres Epp's
that was.
interview in
It's not. It's not playing, mate. But I do have the one you sent me, and I'll just pop it up now.
Yeah, play the.
After that, I drove into the hills just outside Prague, where the secret testing ground was supposed to have been located. I had my Leica A camera with me when suddenly I saw such a flying saucer. I was wounded at the time, so I know that it was November, December, although the test flight was not due to take place until the following February. Someone had made an unscheduled test flight, and this is what I saw coming towards me. It had no wings, absolutely none. I took a photo and wound on the film, but it was already directly over me. Then I took a second photo, and I could see that it was a flying gyroscope, a flying saucer.
Yeah.
So there you go. So you can see he's taken the original photographs, but still, in this book, that book cost me 120 quid, and it came out in the 80s. It's got some amazing fake photographs in here. They're really, really impressive. You can see, like, there's one there. You know, obviously, sort of Billy Meyer sort of photos. But yeah, I noticed that photo. I thought, hang on, I know that photo. That's from Joseph Andres Epp. Photograph.
And they're claiming that was.
Yeah, you can see the description there. It was...
So where's the original location that they were saying it was, that the German guy was saying it was at?
It was in Prague.
Prague, and they're saying that this is in
And they're saying it here. This was in Italy.
So
Toronto,
basically, just
Italy.
people just talk out their ass and just
Yeah. But what staggers me, Ollie, is where did they get the photograph? Because Joseph Andres Epps, German, and Rendell Stevens, the author of this book, is American. Do you know Rendell Stevens? Have you heard of him at all?
Little
He's mostly into
Stevens. That's the guy that was
Billy
the
Meyer
Billy
stuff.
Myers.
Yeah, the Billy Meyer guy, basically. Yeah. So again, it just shows you all the fakery that's going on. But Joseph Andres Epps photo, for me, that concludes more that that was probably more or less a German flying saucer. So that sort of gives it a bit more fluidity, basically. But yeah, that was the only interview that he did. Yeah. So that is more or less the turbine-driven aircraft that now I believe that the Nazis developed. I think this is what the people were seeing in the 50s. Personally, I think they're bringing over the scientists and they sort of redevelop things. Actually, in fact, have you guys heard of the Arrow car? Let me just grab a photo.
Yeah.
This was taken. No, this was built in 1950s.
Avocad.
Avro.
Yeah, the
AVRO.
car.
Oh, right. Okay. No.
So, grab this. So this was test flown in November 1949. Hang on, guys, let's grab it here.
Oh yes, I have seen that.
Right, this. So, my estimation that this was specifically designed not to fly. Because what they've done, they've put a really tiny turbine fan right in the center.
Mm-hmm.
And all this aircraft did was it basically bobbed up and down. It barely took off the ground. I don't know if you've seen footage of it being tested.
Yeah.
You could only get
it
like
literally just
2 or
bobs
3
up
feet
and down.
off. Yeah.
That still you've got there, Nick. That's from the footage, I think, isn't it?
But that was more kind of
across the black and white one.
Oh yeah, sorry guys. Yeah,
I was going to say the Avro car though was more a cross between a VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing craft, which eventually technology would come from the likes for the Harrier, and it was a hover, like it was using ground effects. It was almost like a hovercraft to the same extent as well. Because if they'd actually put a skirt around it, like most hovercrafts have these days, it would have stayed up and kept the air cushion in place and been a lot more stable. But I agree with you. I don't think it was ever built to fly correctly.
Yeah. I think people give the illusion, this thing's going to take off and fly, thousands of feet up. It's like, no, I mean,
what year was
it's
this,
not.
Nick?
1959.
Okay, so after the Roswell crash.
Yeah, it was between 59 and 61, and there was actually it was 3 turbine engines that were actually in that powered the main turbine fan. So it wasn't so much underpowered as just poorly powered.
It just basically just bobbed up and down. Really, it's not really effective as like a war weapon, if you get my drift, really. So so I just thought pointing that out and say, look, the Americans did try something like that, but in terms of the scientists that went over to America, it's kind of hard to say if these like the Schriever, Otto Schriever, and Hubbarmore and all them sort of went over to America. Is very, very sketchy. I mean, I did hear one rumor that Rudolf Schriever, who built the first turbine-driven aircraft in 1941, he went to America and worked as a truck driver. That's what I've heard. I can't honestly confirm or deny those claims, really. So it's tricky, really. But for me, it makes more sense that the Germans will build something like this. As like I said, I don't think they ever went into production. I don't think they flew that well, personally. And when it comes to the V7, if it was allegedly tested, but there's no photographs of it, so it's hard to say if they did. So yeah, that gives that conclusion. I believe that the saucers that were built in Germany were turbine-driven aircraft, and then the Americans were like, oh, okay, we'll try and like mimic something of like that. But if the actual scientists went to America, I don't know. obviously we'll talk about Operation Paperclip from there. But do you want to move on to the
Absolutely.
esoteric?
Are you talking about the anti-gravity now?
Oh yes, yes. So put on your dum-dum hats, smoke a joint, because I think you need it when I'm going to talk about this stuff. I literally had to write everything down. And God, I was laughing through this when I had to write this, bullet points. So when you deal with Nazi flying saucers, you guarantee 100% you're going to come across what I'm about to talk about. This is the esoteric side, which is the ooky spooky side of the Nazi flying saucers. Specifically, the Vril Society, the Haunebu, and the Vril, and Maria Orsic. I'm going to talk about this, so I'm just going to break things down. Have you heard about the Vril Society at all?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. You heard about like Maria Orsic, and I'll break things down for you. So you had something in the 1920s called the Vril Society, and you had someone called Maria Orsic, which was a spiritualist medium. She had communication, telepathic communications through a star system in Taurus that was 86 light years away, and she had these connections from this planet, and she managed to build these flying saucer, which is the Haunebu Vril. It's so ooky spooky. It's honestly, this is where it gets so dumb. It's yeah. So let's yeah, the Vril Society it's not a real society. You come across us a lot on the internet about the Vril Society, Maria Orsic, and there is absolutely no evidence of her at all, because she's the one that built and designed the flying saucers, the Haunebu flying saucers. Do you want to bring up some of the photographs to show you what I'm talking about?
Absolutely,
There's a lot of photographs when it comes to
this is good, because if you're saying that all of this stuff is a bunch of shit, people will
what
come
I'm going to
across
say
this.
now. Yeah, sorry for interrupting, but yeah,
I'm going to say. I think we've got a delay, Nick. To be honest with you,
yeah,
I think we do have a bit of a delay, so don't worry about it.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm going to put this right off the bat now. I've been researching into the Haunebu flying saucers, the Vril flying saucers. These are anti-gravity tachyon drive flying saucers, and the photographs I'm going to show you are very convincing. But
the bullshit.
It's yeah, for me it's just a load of bullshit personally. So let's bring up some photographs, and I'd like to get Stu's input because obviously you know a lot about photographs, Stu, and I just want to get your input.
Okay.
Possibly some of them aren't, but a lot of the
always up for
some of it's on the internet.
This one I've seen.
Right.
This one I have 100% seen.
So this is what you called the Vril. The Vril basically means the life force, and you can trace back the Vril, which what the Germans allegedly use as like the energy for these flying saucers here. You can trace back Vril through the 18th century. Basically, it was popularized by Helena Blavatsky. Have you heard of her? She
name rings a bell.
She deals with a lot of esoteric knowledge back in the 18th century, and she came up with the concept of Vril as like this energy force, basically. And through the decades, you have all these books written about Vril as this energy source that was harnessed, and that has worked its way into the Nazi flying saucer aspect, as they used Vril to power these flying saucers. But it's just a concept; it's not an actual real thing. You know, am I making sense? Because it's
yeah. But when were these pictures first kind of established?
Right. Allegedly, that photo was taken in 1940. And you think to yourself, well, hold on.
That's obvious.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it makes no sense. If they were building turbine-driven aircraft and they managed to perfect these flying saucers, because I got some photographs that showed them in flight, allegedly in flight. But
Do you
for me,
think
it just
you do think it's a real object though that they've placed on that brick?
I don't know. I'm going to show you another one that almost reminds me of like Billy Meyer sort of
Okay.
folk, with like the use of like models.
We love Billy, so keep going.
Yeah, here we are. That one there. You could almost make that out as placing models.
Come on, Stu, that's your job.
It does. It
What
does
do you reckon?
smack a little bit of dinky toys and forced perspective.
Because
Yeah.
I know Billy Meyer, when he faked his UFO footage and even photographs, he would blend in models with the background. Is that right? Is
Mm.
that how he did it with
Yeah,
actual real background?
it's forced perspective. You call it. Basically, you place the models close to the lens. Use a wide
That's
angle lens.
better done than Billy Myers, though. I
Yeah,
have to say.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you basically, you know, there is a sort of method in terms of the amount of distance you are from the subject to the background. The
yeah.
relationship between the two gets you what looks to be
It doesn't
realistic.
look quite right though, as well. If is, I mean, I'm assuming is the truck meant to be pulling the UFO, or
It's
is
hard
the
to
It's
UFO meant
hard
to?
to
say.
say.
Because the UFO's overlapping the
I
truck.
think yeah, I was going to say I think the UFO's in front of the truck. The truck's got some
Yeah,
kind of crane
yeah.
thing on it.
Mhm. But for me, this just screams out models. Personally, I mean, it looks very, very well done. It's very convincing.
I mean, it could
So
be
that
reasonable. I mean, they could be reasonable sized models. They could be like 10, 16 feet across.
Go to the. I saw you had one with a guy touching it.
yeah, that is. Remember the first photo I showed you?
Yep, same one.
That flying saucer on the tripod. Well, that
The
is
flying
the full
saucer was on the
photo.
big giant brick.
Yeah, yeah. I'll grab the photo. Sorry, guys. Hang on.
Take your time. You're all right.
I would agree though. They've definitely faked those. They are fake.
Yeah, yeah.
But here's the thing, like, because those have been out for years, haven't they? Like, I would say, have they been out pre-YouTube?
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You're
I mean,
talking
Like,
I
early
saw these in
have you
UFO
got those
books
in?
at school.
Yeah. So my question is, why? Why did it make that much money for a magazine? Did it to create all that? Because one of them's pretty big and one of them is a big model.
Hmm.
Was it worth the magazine money? Was it worth the? Do you know what I mean?
So you're saying it was faked long after the war? It wasn't faked by the Nazis.
I'm saying that sometimes people may fake like this one. Now that for me that's that for a fake UFO, that's them saying, well, look, this can't be fake because I'm touching it and I'm proving it's real because I'm touching it. So fuck off debunkers because I'm touching this motherfucker.
Yeah. To be
But
honest with
that's
you, I'm trying to find the original photograph of this because this was a clip taken from a documentary which is on my YouTube channel called UFO Secrets of the Third Reich. And basically, you see that UFO on the tripod, and you can see the guy touching it is one big photo. And I have searched everywhere. I've bought all these books trying to find that original photograph, like the best quality as possible. I mean, you can make out like some buildings in the background, but it's it's like the shading of the
can you go
guy.
through some of those the next one where he's stood on
Yeah,
top of
yeah,
it?
yeah,
Just click on it.
sure. So that's another one. That's taken from a book.
Yeah, it's all that it's all there to say, look, it's big. It's
Mm,
not a model. It's not
yeah.
small.
But the thing is, I mean, it's pretty easy to mock up something like this with plywood.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I mean,
Yeah.
you look at the whole thing. Click on the actual the whole UFO that's on the slab of stone. It looks shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's face
Is
it,
it?
it looks shit.
Yeah, these photographs allegedly came from the 1990s during the unification of Germany
Right.
back in 1990. A load of declassified World War II documents was released, and supposedly this photographs came out. And I need to talk about where these photographs came out, and especially two Austrians that are primarily responsible for the whole esoteric knowledge of the Nazi flying saucer project. So yeah, here's another one that's allegedly in flight, but take these with a pinch of salt because these are not good
Yeah.
quality photographs. I tried to find
I
the
mean,
best ones that I
that
can.
that could be very Billy
But
Meyer-esque in the sense of
Absolutely.
it's a smaller version of the bigger
yeah,
model, and it's being held up by fishing wire.
yeah.
That's a Billy Meyer one
This is
right
another Billy
there.
Meyer one. It just looks, yeah,
Yeah, because all you
yeah,
got to do is
yeah.
put that
In
right in
fact,
the
I've got a
foreground.
clip of. You can do, yeah. So it is one that I've taken from a book, which is a bit more clearer. But like I said, there's nothing in the background. You can't really tell where it is, to be honest with you. So
I find
yeah,
it
these
really,
photographs I think just
really.
take with a real pinch of salt.
I do find it really interesting though that you've got a little bit of truth with a load of people that are making fakes off the back of it way back when.
Well,
It muddies the water, but why does it muddy the water? What's the reason to muddy the
Was it maybe
water?
done potentially to like send the Allied forces off in a wild goose chase, thinking that
I think,
Germany's got that?
I mean, personally, I think these are just put out there just to sell books. Um, the stuff I need to show you, which is this book here. This book it is impossible to find. This is going to be all the flying saucers that
I'll
you
bring
see
you up
that
in
I've showed
big.
you there.
I'll bring you up in big, Nick,
Okay,
so you can
cool.
show us the book.
So there's two Austrians that created the Nazi flying esoteric knowledge for the Haunebu and the Vrils, basically. Um, so these are two Austrians, Norbert Jürgen Rathofer and Ralph Ettel. They co-wrote a book called The Vril Project. Now, someone in Germany has a copy of this book, and it's out of print. And this came out in 1990, and he managed to basically photocopy everything in here. This shows you everything about the Vril Society, the Haunebu flying saucers. Everything is in here, and all the photographs I'm going to show you, and even more of the Haunebu flying saucers, came from this book. This is where you get the Vril Society, Maria Orsic were all invented, and there is no historical record of them, of Maria Orsic and the Vril Society ever existed. So my estimation is the fact that these flying saucers, and there's more photographs I want to show you now, is just basically faked. Rathofer and Ralph Ettel, they co-wrote two documentaries, Nazi UFO documentaries, which you can find on my YouTube channel, Investigate with Nick. UFO Secrets of the Third Reich and UFO Secrets of World War II, German Flying Saucers. And they co-wrote those two documentaries in the late 80s, 88, but yeah, it was about 89 and 90, they came out with that information. And this is where you find the Haunebu, the Vrils, all the photographs I've showed you came from them. And these were the inventors of this story. And that's where originally these anti-gravity flying saucers came from. It happened 55 years after the Second World War. It's a bit like the Roswell. It happened 35 years after the story really came out, really, when you look at it. So I think it's just a way just to make money, sell books, because the esoteric knowledge of the side of the Vril Society, which is not a real society, you had Maria Orsic, she had psychic powers, and she had this communication from aliens that gave her the plans to build these flying saucers. For me, that just doesn't make sense at all. That really does not make sense.
There's a higher resolution version of this on archive.org.
Oh, is it? Bring it up, Stu.
I've got it on. Hold on. Literally, Nick, you can do this on your thing if you want. It's archive.org
Okay.
/details /das DAS, sorry, VRIL PROJEKT. So the Vril project. So archive.org /details
Oh yeah,
/
is Stu? Is it a PDF file by any chance?
Well, yeah, it's an archive sort of book form. It looks like a
Yeah, I've been
scan.
on there. Actually, I've actually got a copy of it. Actually, believe it or not, even the photographs on there are still very grainy. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. You can actually find a PDF file online. If you go on archive, the Vril project. If you type in that name, that's the German name. But if you
Yeah.
type in the Vril project, you can actually find the whole PDF file of all the papers and the pages, and still
I'm definitely going to have to
photographs.
download that.
Yeah, you can download it. It's all free. Do you want me to show you the Haunebu flying saucers? Is what I showed
Absolutely.
you, those flying saucers there that I showed you first of all were called the
Is this a
Vril.
fake? Is this a real one that you think is possibly real?
No, it's fake.
No,
No,
another.
it's
Yeah,
all fake. No, I'm
let's
sorry.
bring them. Let's bring the other one fake up. Let's bring another fake up,
Yeah,
and
that's
then we'll
cool.
go
That's
to the
cool.
bell.
Let's have a little look.
Spicy bell.
Ollie, I've put that link into our group chat for you to click on later.
Oh, cheers, mate.
Okay, so the first aircraft I showed you, the Vril, was a fighter, intercept fighter aircraft, allegedly. And these flying saucers here I'm going to show you, the Haunebu has something called like gun turrets underneath it, like tank turrets. But guys, take this very, very with a pinch of salt, honestly.
Well, this is good because I mean I'm sure a lot of this stuff's going to get recycled. So when the guy is seeing it here, because that's what people are doing now.
So that
I
is
mean,
a
to be
common
fair, that one
you'll
doesn't
find.
look bad. If
Yeah,
if
the
if
thing
that
is,
if that came out and they put that on the fucking New York Times and said we've had these things for a long time and this is what the Nazis did, somebody would be going, "Holy fuck, we've been back engineering them motherfuckers. Look at that, they've got a turret on it."
The problem is that you can't really find what's in the background. It's such a close-up shot. If you
Yeah.
had some like trees or buildings, so you can kind of like work out at least what the details of the photo is. But yeah, it's just very grainy stuff. I mean, it's nothing real conclusive that I can really work out. I mean, here's another one.
What's the one to the left?
That
one, yeah.
Well,
That's just
that was the one in the car
yeah.
park. That was
yeah.
So you got this one, which again, take these
The
with a
one
pinch
to the
of salt.
far right, is that inside the craft?
Yeah,
Bottom right,
this. So this is allegedly taken inside the Haunebu flying saucer. Allegedly. So that was taken in a book. Yeah, so that is not on the internet. This photo is not on the internet. And that was from
What does that remind you of, Ollie?
Star Trek?
No. Bob Lazar's sports model, the interior with the central column. Not so much with the windows,
Oh,
but
yeah. Yes.
no seats.
What's the next one?
This one here. That's fake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's like when do you remember when they was it the first Game Boy? They had a camera adapter. You could take a picture.
Yeah. So yeah, again another Billy Meyer photograph. Taken. Yeah. So
Basically, they've put a little tiny alien on top of a diaphragm.
Pretty much, yeah. Again, more fake photographs. This was the Haunebu. They allegedly built 3 of these things: the Haunebu 1, 2, and 3. This is the second model. Alleged. Again, I don't believe they built these things because this is what apparently attacked Admiral Byrd on Operation High Jump.
Yep.
And it's just it's no sustainability for it. I mean, there's another one that looks half decent, you know.
So
but
do you think
still,
Admiral Byrd was full of shit with what he said?
well, there's a.
Or do you think that was what he was? That was his mission.
He did say a very interesting quote. I can read it out if you want it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this was after Operation High Jump. I guess. So yeah, basically, guys, this is it. This is just the Haunebu flying saucers. I just think that these were never built. But when it comes to Admiral Byrd, he said a very interesting quote. This is what he said after Operation High Jump. He said, "In an event of another war, the United States needs to defend itself from enemies who have the ability to fly from pole to pole in incredible speeds." He actually said that. That is an actual quote. So what can fly from pole to pole in incredible speeds, and what can threat America? Because the next enemy is going to attack America can fly from pole to pole at incredible speeds. So you don't know. I mean, all the documents from Operation High Jump have all been classified, so no one really knows, isn't it? I know there was like a diary. Could you remember about that? There was like a diary that was.
That's right.
I just
Didn't one of his sons came up with that diary?
Yeah. And for me, that just just trying to sell books. Really, just trying to make it fancy as possible because, I mean, Admiral Byrd, he said a few things. You know, he thinks, well, he said he knows there's islands far beyond the ice sheet, isn't there? I think there's something else there that needs more exploring. So, but like I said, it is a lot of what Admiral Byrd has said is all been classified. I mean, no one really knows.
One thing that I've found, so there's definitely, you think there's evidence of the propellered UFO.
I mean, that for me that sounds more realistically because you think what the Germans were developing and how advanced they really were. I wouldn't be surprised if they built these turbine-driven aircraft.
You can see
for me,
there's pictures of somebody who's trying to do it, and there's plans, and then there is actual pictures of a prototype.
Yeah. The thing is,
there's rumors of anti-gravity. I do want to touch on the bell.
Yeah. Okay. Now the bell is a whole new realm of subjects that I really need a deep dive because there's 3 books here that Joseph P. Vril, an amazing research into this, and I should shout out as well Igor Rakowski's book, The Secrets of the Wunderwaffe. Got the book here somewhere, but Nick Cook's book as well, Hunt for Zero Point, talks about the Bell Project and what it was. Ignore everything that the History Channel says about the Vril the History Channel saying about the Bell Project. They say it's a time travel device and it was zip zopping around the sky. That is a load of nonsense. I mean, take no notice of what the History Channel says. I think they're full of shit, especially nowadays. What the Bell Project was an attempt to crack anti-gravity. What the Bell Project was, it was a project from 1943 and right to the end of the war. These were just experiments that the Germans were doing. And what I'm about to say is backed up by documents that allude to experiments taking place. What they were actually building was what the bell was. It was shaped as a bell. It was 14 to 16 feet high and about 18 feet across. It was shaped as a bell.
Which I kind of did a good artist impression of it. I'm kind of happy with that.
Yeah. That's what I meant, Ollie, when I said to you earlier. So that looks pretty spot on, you know, for what the device was. And you just imagine
a little bit of AI help me out, Stu.
Yeah, he probably
This is Adobe Firefly.
Exactly. Yeah.
I did it with a real bell.
Ollie, just bring up that picture again because that's a quite good point to talk about.
That is all AI, by the way.
I know, but just
even the trees and grass.
Well, it's pretty good. I was going to say, just take this picture just for analysis. So imagine inside the bell, you have two barrels or cylinders or drums, and inside these barrels were placed one on top of the other, or one on top of each other. What is said in documents, what is inside these barrels is a heavy red liquid. You can pop out, Ollie, if you want.
Do not refer to it as red mercury.
Yeah. Basically, it's a heavy, like a cherry red substance. And Joseph P. Farrell and Igor Rakowski says this is most likely mercury. And these were inside the barrel. And what these barrels would do were counter-rotating against each other, spinning at very, very high speeds. They had a power plant, which was next to the henge, which I'm about to talk about. They were pumping this device with millions of volts of electricity. The amount of electricity was used to power this device was enough to power
This thing
Berlin.
didn't fly, did it? This thing was.
I'll get to that in a minute. So basically, the idea is, it's a plasma accelerator. This is what they were developing. So it means two things: one, new methods of propulsion, and secondly, new methods of energy. Basically, so you can imagine the bell. You've got the two cylinders inside, and you've got the red mercury, and it was counter-rotating, and the pumping this. You can have cables linked up to this device. I think there's a cable linked up to the front. I'm going to show you Igor Rakowski's design of the bell, and there are no photos of the bell project. This was extremely top secret, and I
They've only got
did.
the outside framework of where it's sat. Am I right in saying?
Yeah.
Where
basically.
they think it's sat, I should say.
Yeah. So here's just a typical artist impression of the bell. Grab the photo now. So you will see this photo pretty much everywhere on the internet. So
Yeah, I've seen this one. Yeah.
So that is just that's what you will see of it. Oh, that's what the bell looks like. But according to Igor Rakowski, the bell actually looked like that. So you had the cabling going at the top and at the bottom, and that is basically what the bell looked like. I should stress this: where the story of the bell came from. It came from a Polish wartime trial that happened after the war. This is like 1946, and you had a person who was up for war crimes, and his name was. Sorry, guys, the word has slipped me.
Yeah, did he not give up the information in return for not getting hanged?
Yeah, this is it. He was obviously in Poland at the time when he was tried for war crimes. Now, he was responsible for the deaths of 60 scientists linked to this project. And the guy's name was
I don't know if this is the same instance, but is that the one where they took the scientists, locked them up in an outbuilding, and then set the building on fire?
No. These, I believe, these were just executed under the order of Hans Kammler, who was in charge of all technical projects of the.
It's one of these projects whereby they literally burned the scientists alive.
Yeah, I have heard about that. Yeah. I don't think it's linked to the Bell project.
I can't remember, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the name. Yes, here it is. Jakob Stromberg. He was responsible for the death of 60 scientists, and he wouldn't say anything during these trials. This is in Poland in 1946, and eventually he gave up the beans and he laid out all the plans and experiments to do with the Bell project, and he laid everything out. Now everything's classified for what he said, but Igor Rakowski says said that the testimony is real. Basically, he's seen the documents, but obviously the public hasn't seen it. But the guy Jakob Stromberg, he was connected to the Bell project. He was ordered to kill the 60 scientists, and apparently he was deported somewhere, I think to America. I wouldn't be surprised, or Argentina. So yeah, so that is where the story of the bell originally came from. It came from after the war.
So it's a
And
time travel device.
no, this is not a time travel device. This is attempt to crack anti-gravity. And what this device did, when it was activated, when it was pumped and everything was spinning, according to reports, it gave off a very, very strong magnetic field. And all it did was just levitate. That's all it just went up and it went down. That's all it did. It was tested inside first, and it had ceramic bricks that were placed around it. They tested the device near plants, and according to reports, this is the actual reports, the plants actually deteriorated within a matter of days, months. It would go into
Or
I
like
don't know
a like a nuclear thing.
yeah, like some sort of a reaction. But I mean, plants when they deteriorate, they go all mushy. But this just went like a grey. It described as a grey, dry powder sort of substance. It just sort of deteriorate.
Yeah. If you
And
look
when
at
it was
sorry, I was just going to say, if you look at the bottom of that diagram, where it's just a rectangle at the bottom, supposedly the bell sat on top of that. It was not attached to that. The
yeah,
bolts are to the base of the device,
Right.
so it was freestanding. And then when it
mm,
did start to allegedly
It came off
levitate,
that.
it
I
came
get
right
it.
off
yeah,
the ground. Just to
it was
clarify what
also
you're saying. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It was also connected to cabling, not cabling chains as well, because they couldn't control the device. They couldn't control what it was doing. You know, it had to sort of let it do its own thing, really. So that is basically the idea of what the Bell project was. It was an attempt to crack anti-gravity. I believe they did do it because there are documents in the book here, which I strongly recommend, guys, get this book here. It's by Igor Wachowski. He's a Polish researcher, and he wrote this book. Yeah, cheers, Lee. Sorry, sorry, Lee. Yeah, this book here.
Lee's
Fantastic.
having a shit, so he's
Yeah, he's
still
like
there.
shit. Hope you're right, Lee. Hope you're right, mate. But yeah, definitely get this book. Definitely recommend it. If you want to know about the Bell Project, you have all the documents. Everything's in here.
How
It's
much
an
was that book?
That looks a tiny wee bit cheaper than 300 quid.
about 25 quid,
I was
something
going to say
like that.
that's a 25 pound book.
That's a good recommendation.
It's good,
Wow.
man. Yeah, but it also tells you about the secret weapons as well, like all the different sort of V rockets they were doing and all that. So
But I mean,
yeah,
this technology and the experiments they're doing. I mean, the BAE systems tried to replicate this stuff, not
mm,
that long ago in the grand scheme of things, like mid 2000s, and
yeah.
I've been playing about with it.
Have you heard of Edgar Fouché?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, he's the one who disclosed, well, I would say disclosed, but he talked about the TR3B.
Hmm.
And what's interesting, he did a lecture and he was talking about rotative plasma, which reminds me, the TR3B, have the three individual lights on each corner of
Yeah,
the
the
aircraft.
red, green, and is it
Yeah.
blue?
Well, no, mostly, I mean, when the Bell device was tested, apparently it glowed blue, and there's actually Polish prisoners of war who were working on. I mean, they used concentration camp sort of prisoners to help do their bidding and do their work. And there actually is reports of Polish prisoners noticing a barrel lifting up, glowing blue, and
Yeah,
then
did they not
slowly rosing up.
describe it like it's what the sailors used to see at St. Elmo's fire on the masts and that similar kind of
Yeah,
plasma
yeah,
glow?
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the bear was tested when it was first tested were near humans. Apparently, seven of the scientists involved died, apparently due to radiation poisoning, um, allegedly. But there is documents stating that people associated with the project had very strange effects that will happen, like tingling sensations, a metallic taste in their mouth, light heads, and that's backed up by documents. Had all these strange effects. Also, melting of structures and metal, which kind of links to something that happened 23 years ago, which I
Yeah.
can't say it on air. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's So yeah, if you want to know more about the Bell Project, and it is a massive deep dive. I mean, I'm not saying everything I'm saying is gospel, but it's all in this book here. And Nick Cook's book as well, called Hunt for Zero Point, and he broke down Thought Society and obviously the Bell Project as well, and he did good work into it as well. So I mean, in conclusion, guys, really, I mean, do you want to talk about the henge? Have you heard about the henge before? Just quickly before we
I
move on.
haven't.
No, me
Yeah,
neither.
it's
Listen, Ollie, I'm gonna have to bail out and call it a night. Nick,
No
this has been
issue.
fascinating. I will catch up with the rest of this tomorrow when I'm no doubt looking for shorts to
yeah.
cut up. But thank you
Thanks,
very
Stu.
much, and
Yeah, no
Shoot,
have a
problem.
good
catch you
night,
later,
everybody.
my lad.
Yep, no, it's been great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Cheers. Bye.
Yes,
The hench.
the henge, right? Igor Bukowski says that this was where the bell was tested outside, allegedly. This is in the middle of nowhere in Poland.
I will.
Where is
Can I
that?
just add this, because you are going to
Yeah.
get with a conversation like this, and and I know in the past we've shunned a lot of stuff on Alien Addicts. We've debunked some stuff, but with
Yeah.
stuff like this, you can't really debunk anything because there's no video evidence. All there is documents. People
Yeah, this is
documented shit,
it.
and it's there,
This
and
is
that's why it's
this is it.
interesting.
Yeah, it's good to
So,
speculate, but it's a tricky one because you don't really have a lot of evidence to support the
well, the thing
claims. You know,
is,
you got
Nick, and this
fantastic.
is why it's so fucking interesting, because we've got the technology from somewhere. We're doing something. There's something going on. People are saying that it's our technology. It's nothing to do with aliens. It's Chinese drones. It's Russian drones. It's US drones. It's definitely not UK drones. We ain't got shit. It's come from somewhere, and this. We've built it for a long time. So this is why it's
Yeah,
so interesting. And
yeah,
these documents, if you want to say these documents are bullshit, and somebody faked documents years and years ago just to make a few bucks through a magazine, because that's what it would have been back then. You know, it
yeah,
wasn't viral internet.
yeah. This is it. You know, I mean, one way to sell books is to make things much more fancy as possible. You got to really hype it up, and this is why it comes with the esoteric side of the Nazi Party. Sorry, the Nazi flying saucers is, and a Nazi Party as well. Is that fact you have this esoteric side? You got this Maria Orsic, Haunebu flying saucers, and psychic mediums and all that is so hyped up. And when you look at it in a broader aspect, you think, no, hold on, this is just rubbish, you know. So yeah, I mean, this is pre-internet. This is all books, and
These are books
like I
that have
said,
been around for a fucking long time.
a long time. And a lot of these stories happened, what, 40 to 50 years after the Second World War. So it's very hard to sort of get your head around it. But if I went
I
on the
re-
internet and
I was going to say, in any of those flying saucer books pre Roswell.
no, no, the earliest book I've got is a book I don't want to show you because it's it's not a very good book, but it came out in 1970s, and there's a lot of disinformation in that book. I don't want to show you it, but I had to buy it because that's where the story is sort of looted from, especially with the Antarctic sort of stuff. See where I'm coming from? That sort of Ernest Udall I was talking about earlier. Yeah, it's just to find information now. So yeah, it's hard to say, mate. It really is hard to say. But for what I come up
It
with,
seems to me that they definitely worked on something. It seemed to me that they definitely worked on the propulsion, which is just the fan propulsion 100%. The
yeah,
Americans went with that, with a prototype.
yeah, because there's documents that obviously I haven't showed you from the FBI files, um, one of the FBI files saying that there was a Polish agriculture worker who was working on a farm, someplace in East Germany, and he was working on a tractor. And this is actually in the FBI file. I'm not joking. This is going to sound bizarre. And he was working on a tractor, and suddenly his tractor stops, and he's working next to this big, I guess it's like a big warehouse or like a stockade basically. It had like a big open roof. It was a big stockade, and when his tractor stopped, he said in this report he said he can hear an electric motor sound coming from this stockade. And this is what he said in the report. Slowly, a flying saucer rose, and he said it was a big one. It's probably about 75-meter across to 60 feet high. And it rose slowly across this wall, and it went across the forest and away. And this guy immigrated to America in the 50s. And this is when you had all these, specifically Texas, out of all places. He immigrated to Texas in the 50s. That's when you're having all the UFO sightings that were going on at that time. And he went into his FBI office and said, look, these UFOs you're seeing, I don't know why you're getting confused. This is what the Germans made. This is all German. And then obviously the FBI interviewed him and they wrote everything down, and they obviously kept that document. And that, I'm pretty sure you can find it online. It's I've got a lot of books here that has that original document in it. And that is stamped of approved from the archive, from the Freedom of Information Act. That's just one story. And there was a second story of a transport plane that was doing various transports to airfields in Germany. And this guy in this report mentioned he was the pilot of this plane, lands on this airfield, taxis his plane, and was ordered to stop, just wait until further instructions. So he's waiting and nothing's happening at all. And he's thinking, well, got places to go. So he gets out of his plane and he walks over to this huge warehouse. And in his report, he actually says, as soon as he walks into this warehouse, he sees these tiny flying saucers on tripods. And then a guard came up to him and he said, "Look, you best get out of here." Like, so he wasn't meant to see something that he shouldn't have seen, which means he says in his report these are called Magnetscheibe, means magnetic discs. I think these are what Foo Fighters. I haven't talked about Foo Fighters because the ufology would say that these were extraterrestrial craft. Have you heard about Foo Fighters at all? These were like these tiny.
Great band.
Yeah, yeah, the band. I'm going to tell you where the.
Definitely. I've heard of them. So the glowing orbs that the World War II pilots from both sides reported.
Yeah. They were almost described as Christmas tree ornaments in the sky. But yeah, these were balls of light that would follow Allied aircraft, the English and American bombers. And these reports, they would do fantastic maneuvers and fly away around and all that. But what you're not told, there are reports that some of these Foo Fighters that would go next to aircraft would actually end up crashing. I thought, this is interesting. I wonder what this is. And there's a book here. This is actually the earliest book I got. This is from early 70s called Intercept UFO or Intercept UFO But Don't Shoot by Renato Vesco. He's technically an Italian version of Werner von Braun. And he claims he was part of the UFO, the Nazi flying saucer program during World War II. And he's saying in this book that Foo Fighters was originally radio transmitted probes. And the whole purpose of these probes, I mean, the Germans would call these flying tortoise, basically like tortoise shells on the ground. And these were devices that were sent up, and they were either piloted from a pilot, but it was remote controlled, basically. Send these probes up, and there are reports of these probes going from the ground up, and they would follow the aircraft. And apparently, a particular fuel mixture that was used for these Foo Fighters, it can go over 1,000 miles an hour, what I've heard in these reports. But they'll give off a very strong magnetic field. Now, we've heard that before. And what this will do, it will interrupt the cockpit's navigation system, or the systems that will help
What? Sorry, Nick. What book's it? What is this book called again? Hold the book
Yeah,
up.
it's Renato Vesco's book. It's from 1971, and this is original. You can tell how dirty this book is, but he's like basically an Italian version of Werner von Braun, and he's saying about the turbine-driven aircraft that the Germans built. He mentions in this book, and he mentions about Foo Fighters as well, saying that these were radio transmission frequency probes, like jamming probes, basically. So instead of shooting out the bombers in the sky, they'll send these probes up and they'll do these fantastic maneuvers. In fact, I've got a photo that is not online of a Foo Fighter, but these had glowing tails. When these Foo Fighters would travel, it will actually leave like a glowing tail. And I do have a picture of one of these glowing tails. But the UFO community would say, "Oh no, these were extraterrestrial," and I was like, "Well, there's no real evidence for it. Everything's extraterrestrial, Ollie. It might be something that was built on this Earth.
Do you think it was German tech then, the Foo Fighters, or? Oh, Nick's just deleted himself away. He'll be back. Let me tell him. Give me. I'm just gonna play a clip while I message him. So I feel like I'm looking at my own face right now. Oh, he's here.
I'm here. Go off. Sorry.
Yeah, you kicked yourself out, mate. Do you think the Foo Fighters, because we hear about it a lot when we speak about UFOs, and we always refer going, well, they've been around for ages because the Foo Fighters. Do you think that was German tech?
Possibly. I don't know how these probes will operate.
If it was, then why didn't they win?
This is it. Yeah, you would have thought these would be perfect for stopping the bombings in Berlin and all that sort of stuff. Because you think the Americans and the British, they were bombing Berlin, near the end of the war. So you're talking about 1945. It
So
would
if they
make
had
sense
that
to send
tech,
up. Yeah, exactly. It would make sense to send these probes up. If they would have, Foo Fighters were reported. I think the earliest report's 1943. Yeah, 1943, all the way to 1945. So yeah, I totally agree with you on that point, Ollie. It would make sense if they did have these probes and they did perfect it. Why didn't they just use them? And it's again the same again when it comes to the Haunebu flying saucers. If I type in Nazi flying saucers, you're going to get Haunebus and Vrils, and you think, well, if those were developed in the 1930s and early 40s and they perfected it, why didn't they use it during the war? You see what I mean?
Are you aware of the? I think it was late 60s. It could be early 70s. I don't know. Lonnie Zamora case.
Rings a bell. Could you remind me?
With in the US, the police officer that came across a giant egg that had struts, like proper landing gear.
Oh yeah.
Little people got out of it.
Okay.
Being politically correct there with little people, but wearing what looked like spacesuits. And I often wonder, like when I'm looking back at that case, because I do believe that case, but that sounds, it doesn't. If you think about something that's come from thousands and thousands of miles away, you don't think about something that's just going to put out little landing struts and then it's going to take off with a little fiery little, basically a rocket up in the sky that looks like an egg. It doesn't scream out, I've come from thousands and thousands of light years away.
Yeah. I'm in the decision that, well, the conclusion that there is technology out there that has obviously been hidden from us. I think it's so advanced that we just don't know how far they've gone with it. Dave was talking about like cloaking technology and stuff like that. That's not even the public eye. I think does the U2 just that, or one of the one of the spy planes has got this cloaking technology. So there's stuff out there that, especially like aircraft. I reckon they've got it all personally, Ollie. I think they got the anti-gravity, everything. Have you heard of Mark McCandlish and his sort
That
of?
rings a bell.
Yeah, he came out on Disclosure Project in the year 2000, and his friend witnessed a prototype what the Americans built. I think it was in the 60s, and it was basically sort of like I wouldn't say it's like an egg shape, but if you type in Mike McCandlish flying saucer, he actually designed everything. And apparently, an officer walked into his place and he saw this design and says, "Oh, where did you get that design from?" He says, "We actually have one of those in a warehouse, apparently." But Mark McCandlish apparently shot himself last year, apparently, unexpectedly, which is a bit odd. But yeah, type in Mike McCandlish.
Do you actually think that any of this has come from aliens?
In honesty, no. I'm with what Lee's saying. I don't think any extraterrestrials is visiting this planet. I mean, here's just an example. What about the past 500 years? Why didn't any UFO aliens have crashed in the 15th century, 16th century, 18th century? Where are the reports of alien encounters 18th century or the 17th or the past 500 years? I mean, just look before.
We have reports of, we have pictures of a battle in the sky that looks like little straws and circles.
Yeah,
and
yeah. It's just not hardcore evidence. I mean,
we
everyone's
have
coming
more
forward.
evidence of, and I'm going to go woo here, but we have more evidence of people having experiences with demonic stuff.
Yeah.
Is that people that have done very early LSD? I don't know.
I mean, it's. I mean, this goes into the realm of our aliens, sort of extra dimensional beings. That they tap into our consciousness that we don't really know of. It's just a guessing game, really. But you see
Did
more
you see
people.
our show on Crowley?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
So, I mean, I do feel like it's reaching when you look at his drawing of an alien, what we say now, and I think I might actually have it somewhere.
Is that the one with the big head?
Is it Lamb?
Yeah, ugly motherfucker. Oh my god. Oh, that's my ex-wife. Terrible.
But through looking at this subject for I would say since I was 15 years old, because there is a magazine. My missus has cleaned it up somewhere. She's probably thrown it out right here. So I often hold a magazine up and go, I loved the alien autopsy. Look, back in 2000, 1995.
Yeah,
I had this magazine and it had the VHS on there, and my dad got me into it originally before that.
Can I hold on, Ollie? I'm just gonna show you something.
Absolutely. You've got the same magazine. It's got the same magazine. Spoiler alert. I'm gonna go to this man's house, get high as shit. What's she doing with my magazine?
Sorry about that.
Have you got...
Is that what you're talking about?
Oh my god! Is that the original?
That is the original autopsy from 1995.
I've just said why you want to wear. I said I'm going to go around to this man's house and get high as shit. And I definitely am now.
You're more than welcome to, man. I'm collecting old VHS tapes. I've got one VHS I got on rods. I don't know if you remember rods. And Stephen Greer did a presentation in Leeds, UK, in the year 2000, the year before the first Disclosure Project, and that's on VHS. And I found it online on eBay. So I'm starting to collect like old VHS tapes like this because they're going to be valuable one day, But it's just interesting. I'm just.
Oh, Nick, if you've got that, you're going to have to put that through. Plug it into the computer. Send it across.
Yeah,
we'll do some shit with that.
I've got a converter, but I haven't got a very good VHS player at the moment. So, but no, it's on the cards, man. Don't worry. I mean, soon as it's all ready, it's going to be up on my YouTube channel and my Rumble channel as well. I mean, we'll see if
Oh, you got a
YouTube
Rumble
will
as
allow
well.
that.
Good lad. I've got a Rumble just in case. People, follow us on Alien Addict on Rumble just in case anything. In case they don't want us talking about this subject on YouTube in the future, which I think that at some point it's going to be off the cards. So do you not believe in aliens?
Yeah, yeah, of course I do. Yeah, I mean, look how
No,
big
I'm saying, do you believe that they could be visiting us and we could have anything from them
possibility. Yeah, unless
through the
there's proof.
research? I'm saying research here. Through the research
Yeah.
you've done, do you see any links to it?
Well, for the Nazi flight saucers, or do you mean in just in general?
In general.
Yeah, I do believe. Yeah, thousands of years ago, yeah, because there's a lot of artifacts, the paintings on walls. There's some very strange stuff that's coming out of Mexico. You know, all these like reptilian statues and
Inca
alien
shit.
heads. It could be legit. Yeah, it could be legit. It might be faked. You know, it's hard to tell these days. But I believe thousands of years ago we had communications with extraterrestrials. I think we were more in touch with nature. I think we're more in tune with ourselves. Now, when a flying saucer comes in, we're more in tune to fucking shoot it out the sky, you know. So that's not a very warm welcome when you when you look at it, really. But yeah, I do believe possibly aliens visiting this planet. It's hard to tell, Ollie, but I think a lot of technology is built on this Earth, and tracing back from what the Nazis were doing and where the scientists went. Obviously, the Americans got a lot of them through Operation Paperclip. We know that for a fact. You know, Dave mentioned that. You know, 1,600 scientists. 1,000 of them went to the intelligence agency, and 600 of them went to NASA. I mean, you never know where the rest goes. You know, we don't know who from the Germany through Project Paperclip, who the scientists were. We've got a few of them, you know, but I believe that it's been what since the end of the war, you know, 80 odd years. They must have perfected that technology somehow. And through Edgar Fouché that I mentioned, you know, he said about the TR3B, which kind of sounds like the Bell project. When you look at it, you know, the rotative plasma, and you think, hold on a minute, because I was listening to Edgar Fouché, I was like, actually, that kind of sounds like the Bell project, like the
Why has
whole.
nobody got a good picture of that?
Well, the Bell.
No,
That is
TR3B.
Well,
Because
there is pictures of.
we've got these now. We've got there's some shit.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, Ollie, now who can trust a UFO footage? Because all the ones I see are faked. I mean, I'm not going to go down the third phase of moon sort of rabbit hole, but you know, there is so much fakes out there. It's kind of obvious to tell now, and we just go around in circles, you know, unless you actually got evidence of a flying saucer landing, an alien coming out, saying hello, going back in, and flying off again, you know, unless you actually got that evidence.
My issue with the TR3B is always got the flashing lights. It's always got something at the bottom. It's always got like, here I am. Look at me. If it's ours, turn the fucking lights off.
Apparently, it's got a cloaking device, isn't it? The TR3B.
No,
Apparently,
but do you know what I mean? Like if or even if it's theirs, even if it is alien, which I don't, I think that thing exists because I spoke to people on the channel. I spoke to a few people that I honestly believe that they saw that thing. I think it's probably Earth Tech. I'm not going to say American or anything. I think it's Earth Tech. It's from here. Whatever that thing is, I do believe it exists.
Yeah. There's some incredible minds in the world. You know, you think all these black projects that's going on. I mean, Catherine Austin Fitz, she was talking about the black project. You know, it's trillions that they spend that the public don't know about. And you think, where's that money going on? You know, obviously there are black projects going on, but it's so kept in the dark. We just don't know. But I believe that there is. We have built technology. we've had the minds to do it, but it's just been kept from us because you can harness that technology into weaponry. You to many different things really.
So I've got an iPhone 12 mini because I'm weird and I like to have a small, tiny phone that just goes aside in my pocket. When me and Lee stayed at Dave's, Lee, after the ghost hunt, for some weird reason, he wasn't well the next day. Me and Dave, we went around to Dave's friends that have a fucking very clear view of the night sky, the clearest view I've ever seen. Well, I've been to good places in the UK that have clear views, but this was like clear as shit. And I saw 7 UFOs that night.
Really?
One I tried to film on here, and Dave said, "What are you going to get on there? You're going to get a dot." And I'm like, filming it and looking at it. It's just a dot on a screen. It's nothing. It's no evidence whatsoever. But that entire night, we saw 7 of them. We saw. I think we saw about 3 planes going across because you could see the lights on them. But 7 of them, and we had the night vision camera thing that we used on when we did the ghost hunt. That was looking through, and I was looking. You could just see, and like Stu said to me, "What did you not think about putting that to the camera lens?" I'm like, "Fuck no, I didn't even think about that." But wherever these things are, because that wasn't satellites. Because I've seen satellites, they moved pretty fast through the fucking sky.
Yeah,
these things were slow, and they were just moving in all different directions.
I'm sure they're not Chinese lanterns. I know they're out of fashion now. I mean, we're talking about like...
no. This was pitch black, and these were just little white dots in the sky. They weren't red Chinese lanterns or orangey, yellowy, glowy. No, this was so high up, my phone struggled to catch it. It was so high up.
Wow, because I've got loads of footage of lights in the sky at night. They're most likely satellites and stuff like that. And is like you said, Ollie, it's not good evidence. I mean, I do regular UFO watching on a regular basis. When I've got the time, and I see balls of light in the sky all the time, but I don't film them because it's
there.
pointless.
Whatever it is, it's there, but you're just gonna film a dot. And if you try and you're gonna have to have something like what my missus has got. She's got the Samsung S23 Ultra. You could probably zoom in, but even then, when you zoom in, have you ever tried to focus on something that's moving with a phone,
shaking,
and film it? You can't even. It's so and see a dot in the sky that's that high up. I'm telling you now, everybody that's trying to do that, that's in the chat, will vouch that they cannot do it. It's so fucking hard when it's that high up and you're trying to keep your phone stabilized. You're looking at it at the same time, and then you're looking at the phone screen. You're zooming in and you're trying to get it. It's so fucking hard.
Yeah, and the problem is once you zoomed in, the stabilization.
You've just got a dot. You've got a dot. Yeah. What's that going to do? What's the dot going to do?
Well, like I said, when you try to zoom in, the stabilization don't work, so it just jolts around, so you can't actually get a proper focus on the object at all. So yeah, it's until the evidence come out, we just don't know really.
Before we fuck off and chill out, I want to have a little chat with you after the show because we'd love to get you back on again, especially on the Rockfin. What do you think about the whistleblowers?
Full of shit. Like I agree with what you guys say, and especially what Rich Giordano says from GoofOn. We've had whistleblowers for donkey's years, and no evidence that's come out. I mean, Grolsch, as we've been talking about a lot for the past month, he hasn't seen anything. He's just been told, and he's coming out as this whistleblower. So they are pushing this narrative of whistleblowers are the new thing, and they really ain't. Until we get evidence from these whistleblowers, And I think all these Senate hearings is just a waste of time. They have the documents, they have the evidence. We've had over 10 years of whistleblowers, even more than that, decades of whistleblowers saying there is evidence of extraterrestrials. If there is, release it. So why are we doing this cat and mouse game of just going like a broken record, but going around in circles, and the Twitter community, the UFO community, think it's like a new thing. Oh, that's brilliant. A dot in the sky. It's like the Jeremy Corbell sort of videos. It's like this. Sorry, this is not good. We need proper whistleblowers who are going to come forward and say, right, look at this evidence. I mean, that's what I thought Grosh was going to do. I thought it was going to say, at least show some sort of evidence. But it's just nothing. We're just going round in circles and circles. I mean,
Well,
I've got
he's
a
just
stack of
heard it. He's just heard it from colleagues.
yeah, just from colleagues. It's just hearsay, isn't it? Really, I've got a stack of old UFO magazine books from the 90s, and I've been reading through that, and especially what Nick Bloody Pope's been saying. I think he's done nothing for the community, Nick Pope. He's in there saying about extraterrestrials and all that, and all these whistleblowers, and he's completely contradicting himself. What he's saying in these magazines, and it's nothing new. What he's saying in those magazines is nothing new for what it is today. We're like I said, we're just going around in circles, and I just find it frustrating. I mean, I understand the frustration that we just want evidence, we just want a clear something to progress forward. But I just don't think these Senate hearings. We've got another one coming out next. Is it next week? Isn't it? I can't remember in the US.
Yeah, it's next week.
Talking about, I mean, they changed flying UFOs to UAPs. I mean, what's that going to do? I mean, it
I think they're
achieves
trying to
nothing.
change it back. To be honest with you, I think it's gonna go back to UFOs,
It's-
and that
I
name's
just-
gonna die. It's gonna die. People
and
hate it.
they keep changing. I mean, Stephen Greer called it something else not long ago, and
Oh, he calls it everything.
yeah, I know. So yeah, I'm still interested in the UFO phenomena. I'll still keep researching the Nazi flying saucers, even though I think I've come to a complete stop. I tried my best to sort of explain it to you guys. I have to admit to everyone in the chat, I was so nervous. I sound like Joe Biden when I'm talking. I stutter and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's
You'll be fine,
it's
mate.
a
You'll be fine.
Oh, cheers. But yeah, it's a fascinating subject. But we need evidence now. We need evidence. But yeah, until then, who knows, Ollie? The search continues. But
Well, I will
yeah.
say this Sunday, I know Lee, Dave, and Stu are doing a show about. I think we're going to revisit. I'm probably going to try and join when I get home, which is it. I may be able to join. I might not be able to join, but they're going to re-go over the Greer whistleblowers because they've all been on Sean Ryan, which I find interesting.
Yeah,
they've all been on one by one. I'm not sold by them. I don't know what the guys are going to say. I'll be honest with you. But I'm not on the same side as like Stephen Cambion, as Lou Reviews. As much as I love them guys, I'm not on their side when it comes to saying that this is just I don't think it's just a give me some fucking money. I don't think it is. I think it's bigger than that. If they're lying for a reason, then that's the bigger picture.
Yeah.
I feel there's something very odd with it. I don't think it's just about money. And I could be absolutely talking out my fucking ass. But I just get a feeling if it... I'll say this now. The whistleblower that had the he had the Freemasons badge. Nothing wrong with Freemasons. Dave said this is a Freemason. That's what he is. He is.
One of our neighbours is a top Freemason, and he's the most loveliest guy in the world.
Yeah, they're not bad people. People have
great
this
people.
perception that Freemasons are bad people. They're not at all. I met the best Freemasons I've ever met when I went to America.
Yeah. My great granddad, believe it or not, he was a master mason. A side note: we actually have his original briefcase with all his apron and all that, even with all the ritual stuff as well, is in there. So possibly a Rockfin episode. You never know.
Absolutely, absolutely that.
But Dave said he's a Freemason, so you could get his information from him.
Well, but no, but he's just in it for he's just in it for the like go and have a little bit of a drink with the lads, you know.
Yeah.
Or smoke
Yeah.
a cigar or whatever. That's his thing.
Nice.
The problem I have with the guy that was that he had the symbol, he had the Lee pointed out he had the World Economic Forum symbol.
Yeah. I noticed that. Yeah.
I'm not going to say why on YouTube, but that screams out. That's issues for me. But then he spoke about he think that whatever that craft was, it had guns on there. It has weaponry because he recognized the big massive crates. And I could have got the wrong end of the stick because I was listening in the car while I was driving, but from Sean Ryan, what he said on that is that he had a word with somebody after the show, after Greer's presentation, and they said, "No, I think you were wrong about that. They were smuggling humans." I don't want to get too much into that on YouTube because I might get into trouble.
Yeah. Wow.
There's red flags there for me.
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely.
I don't know what the boys will say on
Interesting.
On Sunday, but it seems deeper than just let's make a quick buck.
I do believe there are people out there. I do believe there are people out there to make a quick buck. You know, I have to admit that.
Definitely, 100%, yeah. But I just
But
think
yeah, there's a deeper level, and I don't think we're even tipping the surface at the moment, even touching the surface and that sort of.
But do you see what I'm saying? You've got these whistleblowers coming forward that a lot of people in the community do not trust. But when they talk about money and they're doing it it's just a grift. I don't get that.
Yeah. As soon as they start saying, "Oh, we've got," as soon as they start saying, "Oh, we're going to bring a book out," I'm like, "I'm sorry, but hang on a minute, like what?"
That's not me saying I believe them, but
yeah.
I think it goes darker than to make some money off books.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's fun to speculate, but unfortunately we just don't know the truth. But yeah, like you said, Ollie, there's a deeper meaning to this. We just have to play very careful. But I think more people now don't trust these whistleblowers. I think they're starting to see through it. To be honest with you, we certainly see through it.
It's interesting that the Greer's whistleblowers, there's absolutely fuck all to do with aliens. It's literally human trafficking and a big giant slab that levitates, and something's going on in Antarctica that can cause fucking earthquakes.
What, like HARP? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh no, that thing. Yeah, because that guy mentioned in the Disclosure Project, didn't he? That they had that machine that can. He said they tested it and it made an earthquake or something like that. And he said it wasn't responsible for the Japan or New Zealand earthquake. I know. Is this a Rockfin episode?
No. It's going to be on Sunday. It's going to be on YouTube. So
nice.
So get ready to subscribe to Rockfin, people, in case it's taken down. But it's okay because Sean Ryan's he's interviewed these people. Stephen Greer's had them on YouTube. So if we say anything that's going to get us into trouble, there's an issue there, people.
Yeah,
remember
definitely.
that.
Yeah. It seems to be like the old amateur UFO channel seems to get in the shit, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's us, definitely.
Yeah, like there's something going on there. Like it's like even like the viewer count, should be going up, and it's just flatline. So it's saying something. It's like they don't want people like you to sort of talk about this stuff and investigate it and ask questions. It's just we're just there to follow. It's a threat. Don't ask questions. It's like Nah, I'm sorry. It
Don't
just
get me
doesn't
wrong.
really.
I definitely 100% think there is grifting going on, but I think there's something else, and that's the key to this. And everything you've said tonight, you never once mentioned little green men.
Because
And I
there's no
think
evidence, really, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm not saying I don't believe it, but I just want to see it. I just want to see like a photo, at least something,
you probably
know.
don't. You probably don't, because I think
No, I
when you
do.
when you see it, it might be something completely different. But
Like a
on
praying
that
mantis
note,
sort of type.
I don't know about fuck me. Have you ever seen a praying mantis?
No, apparently there's
What?
aliens like it,
What?
Ollie.
Yeah. Have you seen what that thing does to its prey?
Yeah, it butchers the bloody thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm not being funny. If we're up against praying mantis, we're fucked.
Yeah, well, you never know, Ollie. It might come true soon. You never know.
Oh my god, Jesus Christ!
Yeah, but they're quite
If
flimsy, so we might break them quite easy. So you never know.
if we're up against, listen, if we're up against praying mantis, I'm gonna bend over and say, "Fucking probe me, baby. Do not touch me with them fucking talons."
Ollie,
on
you
that,
first, me second.
Nick, on that note, you can find your channel in the description. It is
Yes.
Nick. What is it? Nick Discovers All. Nick
Investigate with Nick. So yeah,
Investigate with Nick.
you will find not a lot of conspiracy stuff. I am working on that stuff now. I can work out StreamYard, which is fantastic. So yeah, I've got my time lapse videos. I've got my gardening videos. The time lapse videos, I put some very meditation music so you can chill out, relax a little bit. And yeah, I'll show you my garden and what I've been doing. So it's a bit of a mix mash. So I live next to a forest that is allegedly haunted. It's literally on my doorstep. I'm not going to tell you what it is. So I've done some videos as well, but I've got to do a bit more investigation work, and I'll upload that onto my YouTube channel whenever I get that done. So yeah, it's a spooky forest as well. Not going to say anything yet, but it's all in the pipeline. But I haven't seen any ghosts there yet. But you know,
Oh, do I sense that we could get a possible investigation there at some
yeah,
point?
we
Oh
call
yes.
Investigate with Nick. Goes in with the title with the name, isn't it? I mean, I've done all the research into the best that I can into the
That
Nazi
would be
flying
great, man. That
saucers.
would be great. But also, give my love to Graham. Get him to watch this show, because I would absolutely love to get Graham Hancock on the show at some point, because we spoke about this offline. Both, well, not both. All of us are massive Graham Hancock fans.
Yeah, yeah. No, I
I
know,
lo-
but I listen to your podcast. Yeah.
I'm not going to go into why you know Graham Hancock, because people can either say, "Oh, he's talking out of his ass" or whatever. He knows Graham Hancock. So
Yeah. Well,
all I'm going to
tell you
say,
what, if people think I'm faking, if you go onto my Investigate with Nick channel, go in my community section, scroll to the first photo, you can actually see a picture with me with Graham, smiling, being happy, and all that. You know, things with Graham, I've always bombarded him with like several questions. Oh, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And all that. You know, so he probably gets bloody sick of me all the time asking questions and like that. But no, he's a fascinating guy. But Ollie, I'll do my best when I see him next to
I
bring him
think
on the show.
especially good. I like Lee's massively into the whole mud flood thing, so I think he would love to get Graham on, whether it's on here or on the Rockfin, just to go balls deep into it, you know.
I'll do my best for you, Ollie. When I see him next, and I'll make that promise for you, mate. All right.
All right, my man. It's been a pleasure. You stay just there, just
Yeah.
for the after show. But good night. God bless. Mind the bugs don't bite, people. You can support the channel if you want to become a member. It's much appreciated. If you want to become a Patreon, that's much appreciated. And if you would love to buy a t-shirt, that's kind of where the cut's not that big, you know. We get a little bit of a bit back. and they're pretty good t-shirts, to be fair. So I'm gonna do a Nazi one. I'm gonna do a Nazi UFO one with a big propeller. Good night, God bless people. Mind the bugs don't bite. I am Alien Addict. Make sure you subscribe to Nick. He's in the description below. Been an awesome guest. Bye-bye.
Du meine Arbeit für richtig hältst, ob du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin, dass ich gearbeitet habe, dass ich mich in diesen Jahren für dich eingesetzt habe, dass ich anständig meine Zeit verwendet habe im Dienste meines Volkes.
Dann wird es mir schwer zu sprechen. Uns allen geht das Herz über. Vor Freude über euch.
I wonder if Lee's still on the toilet taking a shit. My guess is yes.